Would yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Maryland, Elijah Cummings, a senior member of the Armed Services Committee.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 5 minutes.
Speaker, as a member of the Armed Services Committee and a member of the Board of Visitors of the United States Naval Academy, I rise today to express my unwavering support for the men and women who wear the uniform of our proud nation, and to make clear my staunch opposition to putting more of these men and women in harm's way in Iraq. In the absence of a clear and meaningful strategy for success, it is time to extricate our troops out of this civil war and redeploy them out of the occupation of Iraq. Back in 2002, I joined my colleagues in the Congressional Black Caucus in formulating a brief and succinct statement of principles regarding the Iraq War. Within these principles, we expressed our clear opposition to a unilateral first strike action in the absence of a clear evidence of an imminent threat to the United States. We further stated that any post-strike plan for maintaining stability in the region would be costly and would likely require a long-term commitment of our troops and treasure. Today, it is very clear that the overthrow of Saddam Hussein has provoked sectarian divisions in Iraqi society that are now expressed daily through violence on a staggering scale. It is also clear that our effort to stabilize Iraq has indeed required the massive commitment of both lives and taxpayer dollars that we predicted. What was not clear then, but is clear now, is that this administration had no definite plan for achieving our stated objectives in Iraq. The administration had lofty rhetoric, but no strategy for creating a stable democracy that could be our partner in the war on terror. Mr. Speaker, I raise these points to remind our Congress that from the beginning of this war, there have been voices raised not in opposition to our president, but in demand of a strategic approach to the growing threats we face. Opposition in demand of an honest assessment of what could be accomplished through military force, and in demand of a clear purpose for why we send our troops into harm's way, our young men and women, the future of our nation, into situations where they may seriously be injured or killed. These are the very points that the resolution before us today demands. I have no illusions about the danger inherent in the growing number of nations that may soon have the capability to construct weapons of mass destruction. To the contrary, I am convinced that maintaining the peace in this increasingly dangerous world has become a precondition to our continued survival. The question is, given the situation in which we find ourselves in Iraq, and given that our primary consideration must always be the security of our nation, is sending additional troops the action most likely to stabilize our nation and the region, that nation and the region? Is it the action most likely to cause Iraqis themselves to take the essentially political actions that only they can take to create a government capable of governing? Is it the action likely to initiate the reconciliation between Sunni and Shiite, and the most recent national intelligence estimate says is critical to reducing the violence in Iraq? I have seen no compelling evidence that the answer to any of these questions is yes. And many of our top military commanders have testified that sending 21,500 more United States forces to Iraq will not create a path to success. Our forces have done all and more than we have asked them to do, and their families have been patiently sacrificing for 4 long years. The voters spoke in November, and we, as the members of the Congress of the United States, do not have the right to remain silent. We cannot allow more to be asked of our soldiers now if their mission is not clear. The President has no plan likely to produce victory, and if, as the national intelligence estimate suggests, the Iraqi forces and the government are not capable of being partners in their own reconstruction, I urge my colleagues to support our troops by supporting this resolution, and I yield back the balance of my time.